All right, let's keep it simple. The way this whole entire mod works is you're taking basically a K2 plus hot end assembly. You're going to disassemble it. You're going to take a Ender 5 Max hot end assembly. You're going to disassemble it. And we're going to use parts from each one that are going to make it function with the Ender 5 Max. So really simply, we're just going to disassemble everything. So take your hot ends out, start removing nozzles, and get to work. We're just going to simply start by removing the nozzles. We're going to take apart the heated throat. We're going to take apart the thermistor. We're going to take apart the heatsink. I mean, really, you're going to disassemble this down to the bare bones. And the one thing to be the most careful with is that this entire assembly is left-hand thread, which means that it's not your typical righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. The way this actually works is the upper part of this throat assembly is left-hand thread. That means that right is loose and left is tight. So just keep that in mind when you're disassembling. So you're just going to take the heat sleeve off. You're going to take the thermistor apart. You're going to do the same thing on both assemblies. Just pay very close attention to where you put your screws and all your parts and pieces, and go slow. Take your time. The hardest part of this entire thing is disassembly. And really, that is the hardest part. Everything comes apart fairly simply. Now, again, you're going to need some extra tools, some Allen keys, and just some different stuff that you should have anyway if you own a 3D printer. But once you've disassembled everything, you get these heaters removed from the hot ends. It's really just a reassembly with the correct parts. So all the parts that have longer wires are going to be the parts we use. And we want the internals from the K2 assembly. And just remember to put your thermal paste back on everything before you reassemble. You want to make sure that you have plenty of that. Make sure that you reassemble things in the proper orientations. Don't lose any bolts, screws, anything that is part of this, or spacers especially. Those are really important. So just remember, you're reassembling this. You're going to put thermal paste on everything. Do not, and I mean under no circumstance, do not over-tighten stuff. Now, this is the part that gets a little tricky for most people. You are going to need a brass tube, which is a very specific size brass tube, which I'll have linked in my bio in an Amazon cart. You're going to need a brass tube cutter, which I will also link in my Amazon cart. You're going to make some very simple measurements by pressing it into the Ender 5 Max heatsink. You're going to make a mark with a very long-tipped nosed marker, which I will also link in the Amazon cart. You're going to cut that little guy apart, and all you're doing is essentially making a spacer that will fit in here and allow the hot end to slide in without bobbling around, and also help to transfer heat. Now, again, make sure you're putting thermal paste on all these things so that when they go back together, that you can transfer heat from one piece to another piece effectively without damaging anything. Now, really, from this point forward, once you've got that piece cut and you've got it inserted, you've got thermal grease on everything, it's a pretty basic reassembly of everything on the Ender 5 Max hot end. Just remember, when you go to put everything back together, you're still going to need to do some tuning and some adjusting. Anytime you replace any functional parts from your printer, hot ends, extruders, anything of that nature, even just a nozzle, you do need to go through calibrations and make sure everything is set up correctly. If you want good prints, that is.